The crystal chandeliers of the Grand Aurelius Hall glowed like 1,000 suspended stars, reflecting off gold-trimmed walls and polished marble floors where the richest people in the city gathered for the annual Global Visionaries Gala. This was the kind of place where deals worth billions were whispered over wine glasses, where power sat comfortably in tailored suits and diamond-studded gowns. For Daniel Carter, however, this place was not about power or wealth, it was about survival. As a single father, every step he took in that hall carried the weight of responsibility, the face of his 6-year-old daughter Lily etched into his thoughts with every breath. Daniel adjusted his white waiter's shirt and black bow tie, reminding himself to stay focused. One mistake tonight could cost him the job that kept food on the table and paid Lily's school fees. He had already worked a double shift the night before and barely slept, but exhaustion was a luxury he could not afford. As he moved carefully between tables, balancing trays of fine wine and gourmet dishes, his eyes kept drifting to the grand stage where Victoria Hale sat, the billionaire CEO everyone was here to impress. She was a legend in the business world, a woman who built an empire from nothing and ruled it with iron discipline. People feared her sharp mind, her sharper tongue, and the stories of executives reduced to silence by a single sentence from her. She sat calm and composed, dressed in an elegant white blazer, radiating authority without trying. Daniel swallowed hard as he realized his section included her table. His palms grew slightly damp, but he steadied himself, reminding himself that he had done this 1,000 times before. Just another table, just another guest, except this guest could end careers with a look. As Daniel approached with a bottle of rare red wine, a sudden jolt ran through his arm. A careless elbow from a passing guest, a split second of imbalance, and time seemed to slow. The bottle tilted. The wine poured, not into the glass, but straight onto Victoria Hale's hand and pristine white blazer. Gasps rippled through the hall like a shockwave. Red wine splashed across the tablecloth, dripping onto the marble floor like spilled blood. Daniel's heart dropped into his stomach. His breath caught as if the air had been sucked from the room. This was it. He was finished. He could already see his manager's face, the disappointment, the termination, the long walk home wondering how to explain to Lily why Daddy no longer had a job. Victoria froze, staring at her soaked sleeve. The room fell into a silence so heavy it felt physical. Daniel rushed forward, his voice trembling as he stammered apologies, hands shaking as he grabbed napkins, trying desperately to fix what could not be fixed. "I'm so sorry, ma'am. I'll clean it, please. I didn't mean," his words tangled together, panic bleeding into every syllable. Around them, guests leaned in, some whispering, some staring with barely hidden excitement at the unfolding disaster. Everyone expected the same outcome: public humiliation, instant firing, maybe even security dragging him out. Daniel lowered his head, bracing himself. But then, something unexpected happened. Victoria Hale slowly looked up, not at her ruined blazer, not at the guests, but directly at Daniel. Her eyes weren't filled with rage. They were filled with something else. Curiosity. She studied his face, the deep fatigue in his eyes, the sincerity in his panic. She raised a hand, and with a calm gesture that silenced the entire hall, she spoke. "Stop." Daniel froze. His world narrowed to that single word. She gently took the napkin from his trembling hand and placed it on the table. Then she said words that shocked everyone present: "This is just wine." A murmur swept through the room. Victoria stood up slowly, red stains visible on her blazer, and addressed the guests. "Do you know how many times people here have spilled something far worse than wine? Trust, loyalty, integrity, and no one bats an eye." Her voice was steady, powerful. She turned back to Daniel. "You're shaking. Why?" Daniel hesitated, then answered honestly, his voice barely audible. "Because I can't lose this job. I have a daughter. It's just me and her." The room seemed to hold its breath again. Victoria's expression softened in a way no one had ever seen before. "What's your name?" she asked. Daniel, he replied. Daniel, she repeated, as if tasting the name. You didn't spill wine because you're careless. You spilled it because you're exhausted. She paused, then added, and exhaustion usually comes from carrying too much alone. Whispers turned into stunned silence. This was not the Victoria Hale people knew. She reached into her purse and pulled out a card, placing it gently in Daniel's hand. Tomorrow morning, bring your resume to my office. Daniel's eyes widened. Ma'am. She met his gaze firmly. Any man who works this hard for his child deserves a better opportunity than fearing unemployment over a glass of wine. The room erupted into quiet disbelief. Some guests looked away, ashamed. Others watched in awe. Daniel felt tears burn behind his eyes, but he forced himself to nod. Thank you, he managed to say. Victoria smiled faintly. And Daniel? He looked up. Don't ever think your worth is measured by the uniform you wear. With that, she turned back to the gala, as if nothing extraordinary had happened, yet everything had changed. That night, Daniel walked home under the city lights with a card clutched in his hand and hope blooming in his chest for the first time in years. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but he knew one thing: a single mistake didn't ruin his life, it revealed it. And sometimes, the moments that terrify us the most are the very ones that open doors we never imagined. If this story moved you, inspired you, or reminded you that kindness and humanity still exist in unexpected places, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring more powerful, life-changing stories like this straight to you, stories that remind us all that one moment can change everything.